right, will there be a second debate? Does Trump campaign want a second debate? Should Kamala Harris insist on a second debate to build on this momentum, or could it backfire given that economy and immigration are still areas where her campaign and her messaging seems to have come off quite weak? Let's get that and open this up to the panelists. Joining me on the broadcast is Alex Zdan, who is a GOP strategist. We also have Harini Krishnan, who is who represents, I think, South Asians for Kamala Harris. And of course, Professor Shapiro stays with us. Thank you so much to all of you for joining me on this broadcast. Let me start with you, Alex. The question is that the Trump campaign or the Republican House is divided. Why is that so? On a second debate.
Well, look, the division doesn't exist in my head. Bring it on. Let's have as many debates as possible. This has nothing to do with performance. It has to do with the fact that more debates are good for the American people. They allow the American people to watch and see their potential presidential candidates, their next president likely, square off in that format. I would love to see former President Trump and Vice President Harris face off in a town hall setting to hear questions from average voters. This did happen in 2016 between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. It would be a very valuable way to see these candidates interact. I'll also point out that your numbers show that 67 million people watched the debate. In 2020, 81 million people voted for President Trump. That is not even close to the amount that watched the debate. It blows it away. So not all of America was watching. More attempts for more Americans to see their presidential candidates in action are a good thing.
Harini Krishnan, respond to some critics who said that Kamala Harris definitely had her moments. She came out strong, prepared, and ready for the Trump assault, as some would say. But there's a lot more between now and the actual election. And the fact that Taylor Swift actually endorsed on a day when Kamala Harris was anyways on a high proves that maybe it is not gone as clearly in Harris's way as some would believe.
No, I think the contrary. I think, come on, I mean, I think anybody who was watching the debate clearly saw what I saw, which is, Kamala Devi Harris came prepared. She talked about the American people. She's only had one client her entire life. She talked about the American people. She talked about her economic agenda. I find it strange that, people are saying she didn't talk about. She talked about her economic plan. She talked about the $50,000 that she wants to give to small business startup owners. She talked about family tax.
I'll give you time to respond.
She talked about family tax credit, and let me finish. She talked about family tax credit, and she absolutely talked about an economic plan, and she talked about those issues. Whereas Donald Trump only talked about himself. He talked about crowd size. He talked about people eating animals and pets. And we saw exactly who Donald Trump is.
I think the world watched that debate. We've all seen it, and we've got 36 hours in which we've digested all of it. The reason why I was asking you specifically is that some of the numbers seem to suggest that, as I said, Kamala Harris had her moments. She managed to put Donald Trump on the mat, and the world saw it. But when it came specifically on issues related to the economy and immigration, she was not able to deliver the message home. That's what some of the polls seem to suggest. So in the wake of that, would Kamala Harris want another rematch?
I think she's absolutely ready for a rematch, because she would do exactly what she did in this first debate, which is talk about the policies. She would talk about the American people, and she would show exactly the contrast, right? You have somebody who is spewing racist vitriol even in a nationally televised debate, somebody who is talking about random incoherent things versus somebody who is talking about policies. And let's talk about immigration. She addressed the fact that it was Trump who told many congressional leaders not to bring up the border security bill. She was ready to sign it. And it was, that President Biden was ready to sign it, that the fact that it was Trump who stopped the bipartisan border security bill. And when it comes to economy, yesterday, economists came out saying that the inflation is now back in February 2021, what it was in February 2021. And we are dealing with a far better economy, especially after impacting some of the most transformative legislation, investment in clean energy,
Yes.
with the Infrastructure Reduction Act. So
Yes.
we are absolutely doing better. I think a second debate to emphasize the clear contrast, the
Yes.
fact that immigration is something that she can absolutely
Okay.
handle. If
Okay,
only
let's get in the other
sign
let's get in the other
border security bill.
voices. Yes, yes. Alex Zdan, respond to that, and then I get in Professor Shapiro as well. Alex, the fact is that
Yes.
Trump may have hammered home points related to immigration and economy, but overall he came as off. His performance was very different from what it was in the debate against President Biden. So why would he want another rematch if it could go down the same path?
Well, let's be clear about one thing. Vice President Harris is not Ronald Reagan. She's not Abraham Lincoln. She is not a solid debater. We saw her, especially at the beginning of the debate, she was unsure, she was overprepared, she was a little shaky. I think that President Trump could exploit those weaknesses. Don't forget, Vice President Harris has hours and hours of video to watch of President Trump debating everyone from Hillary Clinton to Marco Rubio. The Trump team did not have as much to look at in regards to Vice President Harris. Now, because the two of them have met on the stage, there is a rapport between the two of them. They do know how the other performs in a debate situation. I think that a second debate would be very informative. I think the Trump team didn't learn the lesson of the debate with Joe Biden, which is calm, cool, and steady, wins the race and changes minds. But I will point out that President Trump's best parts of the debate were the first 30 minutes and the end, and those are the parts that most people watch. Most people tune in for a portion of it and then maybe tune out and they tune back in at the end.
Okay.
I think those parts were President Trump's strongest performance.
Professor Shapiro, comment there that if you think it happens at a network that Donald Trump is open to, like a Fox, do you think a second debate is pretty much on the cards, or do you think it would be something that is dicey as things stand right now?
I think it should be. I think any reluctance on the part of Trump and his team is probably misplaced. I mean, Trump, I think, has a pretty simple job. While his team may have learned lessons from the Biden debate and from the last debate, Trump himself has to learn the lesson. And the lesson is he needs to come across as a very calm and leader-like figure, and to emphasize those issues of the economy and inflation and the southern border in a way that he got derailed from in the last debate. Kamala Harris has a big incentive to have another debate. Whatever edge she gained from the last debate, she needs to solidify it in a big way. She needs to help mobilize her party for the congressional elections, and also keep in mind that we're relying on polls which in 2016 and 2020 underestimated Trump's performance. And with that in mind, that makes it even more important for Harris to try to get as big a lead as possible going into Election Day. And the only way for her to do that is to debate again and to try to do as well, if not better, than she did in the last debate.
Ms. Krishnan, if it's a Fox network debate, would Kamala Harris agree to it?
I don't know. I will say that she is ready for a debate. She's ready for a second debate. But we also know that, Fox News is one that has continuously validated the lies that have been spewed by the former president. So I'm not sure, but I will say one point I do want to hammer is on immigration. We saw the former president use fear-mongering, talk about, oh, they're coming for you, the migrants are coming for you, and talk about concepts of a plan. So to those who are saying that, Kamala Harris didn't talk about her policies, she talked about her policies a lot more than the fear-mongering that Donald Trump did. But
okay.
I do think it's to Kamala Harris's benefit to have a second debate, but not sure where that'll be.
Okay, so just it's my job to also put out the other side. A lot of Trump campaign said that ABC moderators did not do a fair job, and they were completely slanted towards one of the candidates. I'm responding to this in the context of Fox Network. But Alex Zdan, respond to the fact that what if it's not Fox? What if it's some other network? Would Donald Trump be prepared to do the debate then?
Let me point this out. CNN may be the most anti-Trump network that there is, but President Trump's first debate with President Biden was on CNN. You see that Donald Trump is more than prepared to go into what might be viewed as hostile territory and make his point. I truly hope the vice president is willing to do the same. I'll also say that Fox's anchors, including Bret Baier and Martha McCallum, are accomplished journalists who are known for their fairness and impartiality. Again, It is vital that we get another debate.
All right, I am afraid I have to leave it there. But Professor Shapiro, 30 seconds, sir. Do you see this going Fox, NBC, or do you think it could happen in any other network?
Well, I think Kamala Harris would probably prefer NBC to Fox, but if it comes down to Fox or no debate, I think her people will decide to, as we say, bring it on.
All right. On that note, appreciate all of you for joining me on this edition of US Election Watch.